Bringing you the world news from the prophetic perspective. L.A. Marzulli and Bill Salus come together to bring you food for thought with the MARSALUS Report.
I'm L.A. Marzulli.
And I'm Bill Salus, and welcome to the MARSALUS Report.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen, for another episode of the MARSALUS Report, that with a little spicy prophecy update, as it were. Bill, so much is going on in the Middle East right now. You know, we're supposed to go over there towards the end of the month. I think May 26th, we've got 22 people signed up for the tour. We're excited about that. On the other hand, we've got, and we'll know this tomorrow, today's Monday, this probably will post in the next 24 hours. We will know whether Trump pushes back against the Iranian deal that Obama did with John Kerry. And if he does that, the Iranians really have no choice. I mean, Netanyahu's already exposing them for lying and obstructing and obfuscation and everything else. And we know that they've got 80,000 troops in Syria. Damascus may come into play. Lots of saber rattling going on. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that the bottom line is he will probably pull back from it. I think the discovery with the Mossad, that bombshell of those 100,000 files they confiscated out of Iran, really supports his position to pull back. He thinks it's a terrible deal. But regardless, you and I are watching these things so closely that I just, we were talking about this before the show. We don't want to jump the gun, folks, but at this point in time, this is high-stakes poker. Everybody's all in. All the kings are in the right places. All the wrong kings are in the right places. Israel is presently, even in advance of the May 12th decision by Trump, it already says on DEVCO report, Israel is on peak alert for Iranian missile strike as the Lebanese vote ends. They just had elections in Lebanon with 128 seats over there, and Hezbollah looks like they're going to come out as the strong winners. Saad Hariri's party is going to be the big loser. And, when you look at what's going on across the landscape, especially the threat of Hezbollah, which is a proxy of Iran, with those 150,000 plus missiles pointed at Israel, the situation at this point, there's no distinction between the Royal Lebanese Army or Hezbollah. There's no distinction between the leadership of the politicians or Hezbollah. Anything critical social or military issues, Hezbollah is going to have a controlling factor over there. Everything around Israel is high stakes at this point, and I think personally, Israel might actually act out and preempt something because they can't take a brunt of missiles flying at them, about 1,000 a day. And I would almost guarantee you that all Nasrallah is waiting to do, Hassan Nasrallah, is to get the message from Ayatollah Khomeini to start lobbing in 1,000 missiles a day. And I know Bob Ulrich of Prophecy Watchers is supposed to go with you in May to Israel.
That's right.
And I was saying to Bob, I said, Bob, I think personally May's not a bad time to go. I mean, it'll still all be pretty fresh, all these things going on. I said, but, at some point when Hezbollah is trying to take out the Dimona nuclear reactor in the Ben Gurion airport with their high advanced Scud-Ds and other missiles, I don't know, I wouldn't really know how to advise tourists at that time because they might be stranded for a little bit and caught in the crossfires.
Bob and I are like emailing each other pretty much every day, and we're keeping our hands on the pulse of what's going on over there, and frankly, it's very alarming. And as we all know, I mean, you can wake up in the morning and they could be going at it. I mean, I think we're reaching a fever pitch. And of course, in the mind, and this is what we talked about this a little bit in the last show, but I just want to address this. What we're looking at are supernatural events which have colored the body politic in two diametrically opposed worldviews, paradigms. On one hand, we've got the 4,000-year-old biblical writing of Moses, which becomes our Bible, and then, of course, we tag on the New Testament, believing that Jesus is our Messiah. So that's one set of supernatural events, and you can uncouple the New Testament out and just let's look at the Torah, Moses creating the Torah. That's a supernatural event which happened thousands of years ago, which certainly has colored the body politic in all of Israel. Conversely, you've got a 1,300-year-old supernatural set of supernatural events. Muhammad receiving the Quran, allegedly from Gabriel. As Christians, we don't believe it was, but that's a story for another time. That has certainly colored the body politic in Iran. It is an Islamic state with Sharia law. They have one goal in life, destroy the United with two goals: destroy the United States, which we're the great Satan, and the little Satan is Israel. And nothing would surprise me at this point with all the rhetoric going on, and the fact that Netanyahu stood up, what was it, just last week, and basically exposed the overwhelming fact that the Iranians have been lying, overtly lying about stopping your nuclear program. So there's a lot at stakes, as you're saying, Bill. It's high stakes poker. Anything is possible. And what I think is in the crosshairs here is Damascus, Isaiah 17. And it would not surprise me at all if those 80,000 troops that are north of Damascus, if they start doing something or coming down into the Golan, I think the Israelis will respond very, very forcefully.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Just a headline today says an Israeli minister warns Israel could kill Assad if he lets Iran attack from Syria. And this is just the Yuval Steinitz guy, who was instrumental in presenting Netanyahu's case when John Kerry was trying to negotiate that Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, Iran nuclear deal. And he's going on saying that, it's basically would be a death warrant if Assad does not prevent Khomeini from having the Iranian troops assault Israel from there. And of course, that's where Damascus lives. He's talking about his palaces would be gone. Well, of course they would. According to Isaiah 17, this whole city's going to be gone. It says it'll be burden of the Lord against Damascus. Behold, Damascus shall cease from being a city; it shall be a ruinous heap. And in verse 9, we're told the desolation is caused by the children of Israel. And in Isaiah 17:14, it says it happens overnight. But this concern, LA, is it's gotten even key people inside Iran very concerned. So, for instance, I just responded to a dear friend's email, Dr. Hormoz Shariat, who is a mentor to someone you and I both know called Mansour. You've had Mansour on your program before, one of the head guys in the underground church in Iran. He's in charge over about 3,000 or 4,000 pastors there. And I've talked to Hormoz many times, been on his show many times. And he sent me this email. It says, Bill, on several occasions I have warned our viewers that before Jeremiah 49:38 happens, Iran will go through a very tough time and many people will be killed. I have said that we do not know the exact timing, but these events can develop fast. And here's this question to me. Do you think I should warn them that this prophecy can be imminent now? Thanks, Hormoz Sharia. And what he's talking about is Jeremiah 49:38 talks about a time when the Lord will set his throne in Elam, which is in Iran. When you look at a modern-day map of Iran, you have Elam, which hugs the Persian Gulf, where the Bashar nuclear reactor is, and then you have Persia, which comprises 3/4 of the rest of the country inland. And so he's so concerned because the prophecy actually talks about it appears to be a nuclear disaster because the Lord gets fiercely angry with the leadership over there. But it was telling to me because he actually is at this point saying, should we warn those people that will be affected by this prophecy written over in 596 BC? Should we warn them to get ready for it like Noah got prepared for the flood, like Joseph got prepared for the 7 years of famine? This is his concern. Now, Joe Rosenberg calls Hormoz Sharia the Billy Graham of Iran. He's got the #1 watch satellite television program in Iran. He's all about bringing Jesus to them, and his stories are incredible there. And you've watched the show as well. But I'm just telling you, it's a very telling time for them. They're actually now trying to prepare the believers in Iran, fastest growing evangelical population in the world, for a prophecy that will adversely affect them should they not be raptured prior. And he's now going to go on, full throttle, him and Mansour both, LA,
wow,
and start warning them about this prophecy.
Bill, just adding to that, if they go at it, if the Iranians decide to go after Israel, I guarantee they will close the Strait of Hormuz. That's one of the first things they'll do. And then the other waterway, the Gulf of Tirs, is controlled by the Houthis, which, of course, are the proxy army down in Yemen, which is controlled by the Iranians. They will do two things, and the lifeblood of this planet is oil. And this will send gas prices absolutely through the roof, in my opinion. I think we'll see oil spiking at maybe 120, 150 a barrel. I don't know. It's going to go crazy because the Iranians will close the Strait of Hormuz and also the Gate of Tirs. And that's something they could use, a radioactive bomb like a like a suitcase news type of thing, or dirty bomb type of an affair, excuse me, where they get a bunch of vessels and then detonate the dirty bomb, contaminate the vessels, and that whole area becomes radioactive. So ships aren't willing, let's say, to sail through that. That's an option that's on the table. Nothing would surprise me. And again, what's driving the Iranians, and this is what people, the 6 o'clock news never ever talk about this. They are waiting the arrival of their Messiah, the Imam Mahdi. That's what they're waiting, for the Mahdi to show up. And the Mahdi can only show up in a time of absolute chaos. And this is their apocalyptic mindset. So they've got 80,000 people of their troops in Syria. Hezbollah entrenched in Lebanon, again, another proxy army of Iran. 150 to 200,000 missiles. There's no way Iron Dome can stop them all. And then, of course, you've got Yemen and the Houthis in the south. So you've got this Shia crescent, which is very active, armed to the teeth. And some of that money that Obama gave them to stop the nuclear the nuclear program, I guarantee, there's no way of knowing, but I guarantee a lot of that money was used to fund Hezbollah, the Houthis, and other terror organizations. So, Bill, wrap it up for us. We only got a couple of minutes here. And obviously, if World War III does break out, we will get together and do an update ASAP.
Well, I'll comment real quickly on the threat of this is the real application to our viewers, LA. The Strait of Hormuz scenario is a legitimate threat. They have threatened to do that should anyone strike their nuclear program. It's 21 miles at its narrow strip, nautical miles at its narrow strip. Still, about a third of the world's oil goes through there. Gas prices are already hurting people at the pumps in America. That would certainly skyrocket those prices up there. So basically, the threat is very real. And Trump is very concerned about three things, and one is the fact that they want those ICBMs stopped and
right,
and not continue to be developed. They want that noose of terror that you're talking about. Benjamin Netanyahu calls it a noose of terror, a corridor from Tehran all the way to the Mediterranean Sea. We already see it through Lebanon with Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, Damascus with Assad, etc., parts of Iraq. They want that to stop. Trump wants that to stop. And the sunset clause, it says after 10 years, Iran can go back to enriching uranium. Those three things are not going to change from Iran's perspective. And Trump really has got himself in a position where he's more than likely going to back out of this deal. And meanwhile, Israel's talking about a preemptive strike. They're on high alert for attack to come before May 12th. They're predicting concerns will happen on May 14th when the embassy gets moved from U.S. embassy gets moved from Tel Aviv.
Absolutely.
So, folks, we're talking about a very live wire situation that could affect our lives as soon as over the next few weeks.
Very quickly. That's all the time we have for you. You're listening to the Marsalus Report. Bill Salus and Elliot Marzulli. We will see you again. And I just want to say one thing before we go. This show is being sponsored by Jingos. And we're not using any advertising. And we're not monetizing this. So that's why it's great, because we can say what we want to say. Otherwise, it'll immediately be censored by YouTube, because this is very volatile information. But this is Jingos. And this stuff really works. And it's a great cleaner. It's a great cleanser. Let me just give you my one Jingo story here that happened over the weekend. So we've got a little corgi. She's kind of 12 years old, getting up there. And we were gone a little too long, a little over 2 or 3 hours. And she had an accident on the carpet. So we cleaned it up. I said, honey, where's the Jingos? Got the Jingos out, sprayed it. Odor gone, stain gone. The stuff is amazing. BuyJingos.com, www.buyjingos.com. Thanks for watching the Marsalus Report. We'll be back with more food for thought.
By far the most important thing today, not only today, but in a historical perspective, the most important thing is to make sure that a militant regime, a militant Islamic regime or a militant Islamic movement does not get its hands on the weapons of mass destruction.
Missiles cloud Mideast skies over the Persian Gulf. Iran shuts down the Strait of Hormuz. Arab oil is choked off to world markets. Hezbollah and Hamas launch scores of missiles into Israel. Terror cells initiate cycles of violence in America. About 2,600 years ago, the Hebrew prophets Jeremiah and Ezekiel issued parallel end-times prophecies concerning modern-day Iran. Today, the rogue country is becoming a nuclear nation and aggressively advancing its hegemony throughout the greater Middle East. Nuclear Showdown in Iran, revealing the ancient prophecy of Elam, is a non-fiction thriller taking the reader on a journey of discovery through the eyes of the prophets and the minds of today's key national players. But there's a backstory, an even bigger story. It's a spiritual showdown in Iran between Islam and Christianity.
Iran is being transformed into a Christian nation in this generation. Iran has the fastest growing evangelical population in the world. Iranians are experiencing miracles, healings, visions, and dreams. And with the help of satellite television, millions of them are coming to Christ. 2 years ago, Iranian government began cracking down on Christianity. But it's not working. Christianity is growing in Iran. Iran is in the Bible prophecy, and many Iranian Christians are excited about what the Bible says about the future of Iran. Please pray for your brothers and sisters in Iran.
Pick up your copy of Nuclear Showdown in Iran, revealing the ancient prophecy of Elam.
What if what happened in Fatima 101 years ago was much more complex than any of us could have imagined? What if there was a fourth witness hidden away for decades, and through the detective work of researcher Fina Diarmata, this witness was discovered and interviewed? In that interview, the fourth witness described seeing a being with blonde hair floating in midair above the same tree that the apparition would later appear over. What if the so-called angel hair that fell over the crowd is also reported by witnesses who have had close encounters with UFOs today? Then there is the dull silver disc, which flew over the 80,000 people gathered at Fatima, which seemed to create chaos as car windshields exploded, hoods flew open, and gasoline spontaneously combusted. What if there was a picture taken 101 years ago that lay undiscovered in the Fatima archives until one man, Jose Machado, had access to it? What he found may be a smoking gun. Then there are the numerous reports of apparitions and so-called sun miracles. But what are these really? Could they be harbingers of deception? This is Fatima 2, Strange Phenomenon.